Hello, Roni. How are you doing today?
Great, great. Thank you,
Very good to
Itai. How
see
are
you.
you doing?
Yes, I'm doing quite fine, and I'm happy that you agreed to make this weird interview. We could have just talked, but I think it would be interesting for some other people. That's the reason we're conducting it in English and not necessarily in Hebrew. And so the reason I wanted to make this interview, I was first curious to see you after, I think, 15 years. What is it? 15 years when we first met?
Probably something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
around
something like
15 years.
that.
Yeah.
In the
Wow. Yeah,
auditions in the Yellow Submarine Music Center in Jerusalem.
that's correct.
They're, what, 15, 16, 15, I think, 15 years
Yeah,
ago.
probably 15. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know if I told you, but your friends warned me, your friends that came to the audition, they warned me, Roni is going to come today. Was Roni here? So they, you know, so I figured out, well, that probably is one special. The other thing is that I saw a post you posted on Facebook where you play together with Rosa Pasos. And then I realized that I haven't heard you for a long time, and what is going on here, and especially the harmonica for me is a total mystery. You know, I can blow in, I can blow out and get some kind of, you know, tonic dominant a la, you know, Bob Dylan, that's all. I can't play a scale, and you're playing chromatic, you're even playing further than chromatic, I then understood. And so my first question to you is, could you describe a little bit what happened since we met, since high school? And how did you end up or begin with harmonica?
Right. So, wow. First, it's great to talk to you, Itai. And now you brought me back. You reminded me that audition.
Yeah.
And if I may actually say something that I said it before, and sometimes when people ask me how did I came to do what I do, and I think it's the right opportunity to tell you and tell everyone that that moment that you just described, this audition, and later being accepted to that program and being your student, later taking private lessons with you as well, was extremely important for my development. And I pretty confidently can tell you that I probably wouldn't be a musician if it wasn't for that nowadays.
That's a big
So
compliment. Uh-huh.
so that's you brought me back, reminding me this audition. But that was an amazing. You gave me an opportunity, basically. So if I should I start there, or should I start, because you wanted me to start after we
Actually before that, because you came to us already with a harmonica. Was that your first instrument?
Well, in a way, no, because when I was younger, like much younger, I played recorder, like on a very basic level, like many other kids. And then I quit. The original goal was to play trumpet because of the Sergeant Pepper album. Yeah, and there, like I remember we had the animation movie of the Yellow Submarine, and it's funny because like I'm actually not sure how much brass there is on this album, but in the movie they play at some point they get to like I don't know, like they get access to music instruments, and then they play. And I remember that I was like, wow, like I want to play the trumpet. That's so cool. I came to my parents, I was like in second grade or something. I told them I want to play the trumpet.
Yeah.
And then they asked around, and someone told them, well, first you should start with a recorder, maybe, then go. So as I told you, I was like doing recorder, very basic, and then I went to the trumpet, and it didn't really work for me. And something didn't work, and I was studying for a couple of months, and quit. And then then for a couple of years I wasn't playing any music. Around the probably around the time I was 14, I picked up the harmonica. So this time I was like, yeah, why?
Yeah.
So this time, so check it out. So when I quit the trumpet, it was like a whole thing because my parents also rented a trumpet, and then I was like, I wasn't practicing and I wasn't into it. And I remember we had this conversation where they like the teacher talked to them and they were like, they asked me like, do I want to continue or not? Because they see that I'm not really into it and it's totally fine. But luckily, you know, they were always super like great and very supportive, but they were like, if you're not into it, it's okay. You don't have to continue. So
Right.
it was like, and they returned it to the store and everything. It was like, I guess for me, it felt like a big thing.
So, Roni, you were 14. You decided to take the harmonica. All your friends were playing probably rock or something similar.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so I wanted to come back to music. I felt like I want to play an instrument, and I'm not sure why I went to the harmonica. I had memory actually of there was a children book that I loved, and also a TV series called like a Finnish book, and it's a Japanese series called Moomin.
And yeah, sure, the Moment Trolls.
Yeah. and there's a character there that plays the harmonica, and I love this. Exactly, and I love this show. That's true. So I love this, and I had the memory of it, and also I had a memory of a friend who probably around second grade or something showed me a harmonica, and I was like, wow, it looks so cool.
You know, and, I doubt if Snufking played any chromatic harmonica though.
Wow, yeah, that's I don't remember actually.
Yeah, but never mind. Let's go on with it.
Anyway, so yeah, so I decided to go a little, you know, to go smaller this time. I thought to myself, you know, I'll start with a harmonica. I want to start an instrument. It's going to be a little less committing. I'm not going to have to like rent or buy this expensive instrument. Let's start small this time.
who did you study the harmonica with? I mean, that's another question that I'm very curious, and Yotam, maybe you have some clues about that. Nobody plays the harmonica in Israel. I mean, of course there are, but very few.
Now there are, yeah.
So who else? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was young, there were the Adler trio. And one of my students in the academy was Yael Feldheim.
Yeah, so I had two teachers when I started. The very, very first teacher, his name is Elisha Avshalom, and he's like my first teacher. He gave me the bass, and I'm very grateful to him. He showed me how to play a single note and all the basic, the very the beginning of it, and I studied with Elisha for a little bit. I think at the time that I came to the audition that you saw me, I was his student. And then later on, I studied for a while with Yael Feldheim. He's a great player, really great chromatic player. And I studied with her for a while. So they were my two harmonica teachers at that stage. Later on in life, I met another incredible harmonica player who was like kind of like a mentor and a teacher of mine as well. And also for Yotam. And in New York, his name is Gregoire Marais. But that was later in life.
Later.
First two teachers were Elisha and Yael.
Okay,
For the harmonica.
so I'm jumping a little bit to Yotam. Yotam, can you tell us about your beginning with the harmonica? I mean, actually, I have to admit, I know Roni much better. I met you when you were studying with Yaron Moha. I mean, the
Saxophone.
from you is that there was always this smiling kid who was studying with Yaron, but I think you also played with the program in the Yellow Submarine saxophone, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't play like so. Okay, I'll start from the beginning. My uncle, his name is Tal. He's a music teacher, piano teacher, and when I was about 10, something like that, I don't remember exactly, my mom sent me. I'm from Nataf, and Tal also used to live in Nataf, and my mom sent me to Tal to have a piano lesson, and then and I liked it, but he gave me a harmonica. He started playing the harmonica when he was older. He was just like for fun, and he gave me a harmonica, and I really liked it. And I could go everywhere with it, and I would like learn melodies in the car. With the family, we would go to, and so this really caught me. And then I studied at the high school of the academy, like in Jerusalem, and there I played saxophone because they kind of asked me to take like a real instrument that is not harmonic, that has a teacher, for example, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you
so
were
my first
alone or with Tal or?
So yeah, my teacher was Tal, my uncle, and then when I wanted to go to the academy, and I had to do an audition and everything. I went, and for a year I used to go once every 2 or 3 weeks to Kfar Saba to take lessons with Dror Adler from
okay.
from the Adler
Yeah.
Trio. And then I did the audition to the academy, and then I played saxophone. And I was very, very embarrassed that I played harmonica. People kind of made fun of me, you know.
You know, that's so funny
Wow.
because when I studied at Berkeley, you know, for my first degree, we had to take notation class, which was
Uh-huh.
just terrible. The teacher was bad and he didn't really like his profession, but he told us, the expert who actually wrote the book, the textbook, that this expert, the head of the Department of Notation or something like that at Berkeley, told his son that whenever someone asks him in school, what does your daddy do? You should tell him he plays the harmonica and not he teaches notation. So you're in a better situation.
That's funny. Yeah, that's the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started playing saxophone, and then I met Roni actually. Still today, I consider Roni my biggest inspiration to take the harmonica as an instrument, like be proud of playing the harmonica, you know. And the first time I met Roni was he had ribuim. How do you call this? Like this thing? Oh no, a
Yeah,
plata, like this thing that you put in
braces.
the.
Yeah,
Bracelet.
braces.
Bracelet.
And, and I told him that I also play the harmonica, and he told me, oh, so never put a bracelet in your mouth. It will like ruin your your harmonica playing or something like that.
Hey, first lesson.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
and
So
yeah, and later on, like when I was like, I always played a little bit the harmonica, but I didn't consider it as like my instrument. But when I was 16, 17, I realized that this is my voice, you know, and this is what I connect with.
yeah, that's very interesting that you phrase it this way. I'm going to get back into that one. Roni, could you continue from, let's say, after you finished high school? What happened then? Where'd you go?
So after high school, I was in the army in Israel, and I was a musician in the army. So actually, yeah, I was there's a thing in Israel, you know, we have to serve in the military, and there's a musician status. I'm just explaining to whoever watches
Right. Yeah.
this and doesn't know. So so I auditioned for that, and I received that, and then it basically allowed me. I think Yotam did the same thing, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, yeah. So both of us did it. So it allows us to continue, you know, develop with our career and study. So so then I was actually studying while I was in the army. I was studying in the Jerusalem Academy, And I think, Itai, that was some time that I took private lessons with you, I
Yeah, I
believe.
think so. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Right.
Yeah. So
And
that was
after,
right after.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And after the army,
After the army, I went straight to Boston. And I did already, while I was in the army, I did, toward the end of my service, I did a summer program in Berkeley.
oh, okay. Yeah.
And then in that summer program, I received the scholarship, the full scholarship to study in Berkeley. So immediately after the army, I left to Boston and started my studies there.
You left Jerusalem and you moved to Boston.
Exactly, it was pretty steep transition. Yeah, because I never left
sure.
home before. Yeah.
It's interesting because it was the same case with me, and I was pretty terrified, I must tell you.
Same.
Oh, really? And Yotam, what did you do after your army service?
I went to New York, and I
New York.
went to, yes, I went to the new school for a couple of years.
Did you both graduate? Was it like important for you to do the entire program in these institutions, or was it just sort of a platform to advance further?
Start, Roni.
So I did finish. I did graduate from Berkeley, but I never graduated from the academy because while I was in the process of doing my degree when I got the opportunity to go to Berkeley. So I just left in the middle. So it was important for me. I mean, I think it was, since I was already studying for a degree, I knew that I want to get this piece of paper that might not ever help me in anything, but might as well. So I think, I wanted to graduate from Berkeley.
And
for me, I never thought about it as something. For me, it was like, so I studied in this program of, it's called like a Stricker New School, or like the Tel Aviv Conservatory. So while I was in the military, I studied in Tel Aviv, which was fun, and I remember I liked the teachers and my friends there and everything. And then I moved to New York, and so I had to do only 2 years there at the new school, and it wasn't necessarily. I didn't think about whether it's important for me to graduate or not, but it gave me a visa and place to practice and people to meet, and so it was beneficial for me to be there. Yeah.
And Roni, you moved to LA right after Boston?
No, so actually there was a period of about 2 years, I think, in between. I spent some time in New York as well, pretty short time, and also spent a couple of months in Israel. And kind of on and off, I was actually back and forth from New York to Israel. Also spent a moment in Berlin, short moment, and then I went to LA to do the Monk Institute that later changed its name to the Herbie Hancock Institute while I was in it. But yeah.
And how long have you, Yotam, been in New York?
Almost 8 years. Like I moved in August 2014.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I've been hustling for a while, you know.
So that brings me to the next topic, which I'm really interested in. I'm very jealous of you two, and Yotam mentioned it, that you can actually carry your instrument wherever you want. I mean, with me, I play the piano. It's not that easy to play, to practice on the train. But first of all, how does this instrument work at all? I don't really understand it. And then if you could kind of slowly walk me into how do you get to master this impossible instrument?
Where
Okay.
So so it's a harmonica is basically like a kind of a it's a the body is like kind of a comb, like some like it's plastic, and it has like I don't even know how to call it in Hebrew, like those like
Small bars, very
yes, where the air
metal,
can go through,
metal
and then
something. Yeah.
no, and then on top of this body, there's two plates with a lot of reeds. Each note is a reed, a metal
Okay.
reed with a valve on the other side, made of plastic also. And then the air, when you blow or inhale, it vibrates the reed, which produce a note. And then
Hmm.
there's like a mouthpiece with holes. And now I'm talking about the chromatic harmonica. It's like, and then there's a slide which directs your air to the different like there's a set of reeds basically that you blow when you don't push the button, and when you push the button it directs to your air to the other set of
I
reeds.
see. Hmm. Hmm. And and Ronnie, how do you, I mean, I listened to you, both of you, and it seems to me that you play what you hear, which is, one of the goals of jazz players. How do you get to this point where you just everything runs from itself? And the reason I'm asking it is for us pianists, it's very easy to understand theory. It's all right there in front of our eyes, which may be actually a disadvantage because we can very easily get into technical theoretical patterns. I know that this is going to work. I know what I'm doing there. I see it. You don't really see it. It's all through your the movements of the chromatic alteration there and your lips. How do you get to that point? How do you practice?
I think you described it pretty well. It's I think what you just described is the, I don't know if you agree, Yotam, but it's one of the biggest challenges of this instrument is the fact that it's the, Dov Hammer, amazing blues harmonica player who lives here in Israel. He said the harmonica is the invisible instrument because it goes especially to the diatonic, I think, because you don't see anything you play, you don't see anything that you're doing, and the diatonic is also small, so you hold it and no one sees, even the audience is not seeing, so it's just invisible. It's like you're holding a mic, but anyway, it's a serious challenge. I think it's the hardest challenge. It's a very abstract instrument because, I mean, there are other instruments where you don't see what you do, but in some of them, at least, this instrument is so small. It's like, it's not also that you don't have the sense of space, let's say, like a large sense of space, or it's very small, you don't see anything, very abstract. So I think I can answer for myself, and I'm very curious actually to hear what if Yotam relates to this or how he sees it. But I think we developed a sort of like a mental map
Yeah, definitely.
that we imagine when we play. Because I don't actively think about it, but in a way, it's really hard to pinpoint this, but it's somewhat of like an abstract map that I have that is partial image, part sounds, part feelings. I don't muscle memory, a lot of things that come together. Possibly also often like the image of a keyboard that connects to it. And sort of that kind of how it works for me, at least. Curious to hear how it works for you, Tom.
Yeah, it's yeah, actually it can be for me pretty visual. It's just not, it's like playing a saxophone or a trumpet or anything like that. You also don't, a piano is a great, it's like a computer, it's like, and it's a great way to learn music and see it and understand it.
Yeah.
um, but then those instruments that you don't see, like now I'm playing do or playing whatever, you have to imagine it. And exactly, this is what you do. You like, you imagine what you play. You like, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Roni, you took it further to a quarter tone harmonica, or is could you just explain what the hell are you doing there? How do you get those quarter tones?
That's another journey that I had that also was kind of like a parallel journey, because all the time that I was studying jazz, I was also from pretty early on, during the time that I was in the military, I started really being wanting to learn about traditional folk music, local folk music of our region of the Middle East. And I started studying, and in the beginning I was trying to play this music, depends which kind, but often, you know, a lot of this music is not well tempered. I was working a lot with bending, with the basically the technique of bending, which is possible on the harmonica, to change the pitch, to try to play the makam. It worked to some extent. I was thinking about the direction of possibly, you know, having an instrument that will enable this, that will have it like be part of it. Because there were two things that gave me the main inspiration. First of all was hearing the accordion, the microtonal accordion. So I heard, when I was listening to you know, Arabic music, I heard the accordion. I was like, wow, it sounds so good, and it's the same family. So that was number one. Number two was actually my mentor at the time, incredible. I mentioned him before, incredible harmonica player Gregoire Marais, New York-based harmonica player. He knew what I was into and that I was trying to do that. And he kind of suggested, why don't you contact this guy, Brandon Power? I knew of Brandon. Brandon is is a harmonica innovator, great harmonica player as well, but also, you know, kind of cutting edge innovator of the harmonica, technician, create new instruments based in the UK. So he suggested me contact Brandon. If there's a guy that would be able to help you to do, you know, to have a microtonal harmonica, it's this guy. And I contacted Brandon and sent him some recordings of mine, and it started like a whole long process of working together, and which eventually led to the first microtonal harmonica, the first prototype, and then to other models. I also went for 2 visits to meet him in the UK, and kind of we started this collaborative work, and it wouldn't be possible without Brandon. I mean, it's his, yeah. So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
uh,
Okay. And I'm turning now to another topic, the compositions. Uh, Yotam, are you composing your own music?
Yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I play the piano and some other instruments, and it's something that I've been doing since younger. You know, like 15, I
Mhm.
guess, something like that. It was it was a, I had friends. It was like a thing to write music aspired to be as a whole a musician. You know, I'm not just a harmonica player.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I'm looking up to are musicians that write music and arrange and that touch the music not just as an instrumentalist. Um, so yeah, this is what I am aiming for. Mm-hmm.
And Roni, are you composing?
Yes, and I just want to say that I think Yotam for me is like he's an example of that, of someone like who is like the full musician, the complete musician. He plays great piano. He plays percussion instruments. Obviously, plays killing harmonica. I mean, just and sings as well and writes, produce. He's the whole thing, which for me is inspiring. I mean, that's what I
Working
inspire.
on it. I mean,
Exactly. So yeah, I also it's very important for me as well. Composition, it always has, and especially in very recent years, I put a lot of my focus on that. While I was in the Hancock Institute, I got deeper into composition. So
Mm-hmm. And Yotam, when you compose, how shall I ask it? There are two questions here. Where do you begin? What begins for you process of composition, and how important is it for you the structure or the form of the? And I'm asking this especially in perspective of the very old tradition of taking the standard, playing the head, everybody solos, playing chorus again, and that's it. And these things have naturally changed, but not too much. So what's your attitude?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I write my music on piano because I play harmonica and I can travel, but I have to have a piano in order to create music. This is how I am the most inspired to write music, where I can play the chords and I can play the melody or I can sing. And then in terms of what music I am trying to make, I'm actually the form of the form of music or art form in general that I'm probably the most moved by is songs that also have lyrics and that are very precise. Like there's like the song is the song, you know? It's like, and so I studied jazz and I play jazz, and I was when I was in middle school and high school I was playing. This is when I was really introduced to jazz by a good friend of mine, Shachar and Natan and Erez Foyer and David Michaeli. So I was fascinated by this, and I was always also trying to, and still am trying to challenge myself with the instrument itself and expand my abilities and my vocabulary and all of that. So it also has place in my in the way I think about music and composition. But nowadays I'm much more interested and going towards writing songs also with lyrics, and even if there's no lyrics, so to have a melody and to have like everything on point.